guessing you can all hear me okay because I've had a few laughs already. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Obviously, as you guys know, you've probably been absolutely bombarded by me through email and text, as you should. Mastering emotional and binge eating. Um, oh, making sure. Christina, can you just pop me a thumbs up if you can see my screen okay? Because you're the one I can see at the moment. Cool. Lovely, guys. So it is quite a big one tonight, so I'm not going to waste too much time by waiting about for additional people. Um, if there's any questions at all during this, which I'm sure there's going to be things that are going to spark your brain, please just pop them in the chat box. It's really easy to answer questions as we go. Happy for you to do that, rather than you trying to save your question for the end. There will be a Q&A at the end, but if you know me and you've been on these calls, I tend to run over and then people start wanting to go to bed. So that's why I say ask your question just in case we don't have time for it. And we will get going. So pop in the chat again. I'm just going to do this for a minute or so while we're waiting for extra people. What snack would you take with you to a desert island, even if it's frozen pizza? So like, what is your one food, I guess your food that you cannot live without? And let's just see what the consensus is if we've got sweet or savoury. Bang it in the chat and let's have a look at what we like to eat. And I'll keep admitting people as we go. Oh, you're straight on this. This is the quickest answer. Crisps, Maltesers, dairy milk, crisps, chocolate biscuits, chocolate wings, any chocolate, anything chocolate, white chocolate, dark chocolate, toffee popcorn, cheese, Battenberg, salty chocolate. Well, we're all very engaged because we're all straight on it. So we've got an absolute mix. Cool. So again, there's a lot of food here that again people will feel as their guilty food, and we'll be talking about this today anyway. Brioche. Oh, Amelia, is that like brioche bread? I've got to say I can't have a burger these days unless it's brioche bread. Christina bread. Yeah. Funny enough, really, because I used to be sweet, but now I'm savoury all the way. Magnum. Magnum, no. That's iPhone 17, so I don't know who that is. Cool. So we've got a range. Right then, guys. I'm just gonna close that down. Thanks for all your comments there. So for you guys who don't know me, of course, I've obviously got a lot of clients here. Um, you've probably found me through a range of methods, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I was a former binge eater. So I was an emotional eater, I was a binge eater, and at one point I was 125 pounds overweight, so I was actually morbidly obese. Um, I didn't eat because I was hungry. I ate because I was tired, I was sad, I was celebrating, or I was treating myself. So why should you listen to me? Because I've been in the position of a binge, emotional, and stress eater. Again, there's obviously thousands of online coaches out there, and don't get me wrong, there's some amazing coaches, but I think one of the kind of problems in the fitness industry is that a lot of coaches and people who do this job have always been fit and active, have always been healthy, and don't quite understand the point of view from somebody who is really struggling with the weight or is overweight or obese. Whereas for me, this is what I used to look like. So I don't have many photos. This wasn't even at my biggest because if you've struggled with your weight, you know that the camera is your worst enemy and you don't want to, be in front of the camera. You don't want to have photos taken of yourself. So unfortunately, I don't have that many photos. But, 2015, obviously 10 years ago was when I started my fitness journey. And I started again every single Monday. Nikki's put seeing what you were like before and what you are now is what made you join up. Thanks, Nikki. I mean, Nikki, you're in a very different situation as a client. You've been fit and active all your life and you're a fantastic client. But yeah, for me, it was a very different story. I was a nighttime binge eater. I ate salads in public and demolished ice cream in private. I knew a lot about calories, but nothing about my emotions, and my weight yo-yoed more than a toddler on Red Bull. So I've been through my fair share of struggles, believe it or not. And then obviously I, lost the weight, which again is another story. I've got a whole video on my journey. If anybody is interested, I can always send you out on YouTube. It's 30 minutes long, so if you can be asked. But I started my fitness journey. I lost 125 pounds. Initially because I wanted to be a firefighter. So I ended up joining West Yorkshire Fire Service after I lost the weight. But then I decided, a couple of years in, I've got all this knowledge now. Why not help other women? And became a personal trainer, ran boot camps across the north of England to teach women how to lift, They all sold out very, very quickly. It was very successful, which was great. And then I moved online 4 years ago and I've now helped close to 400 women one-to-one with coaching. So the reason I run these calls now publicly is that, of course, now I've got all this knowledge and experience. I'd love to be in a position to help women who might not be coached by me, to give them as much knowledge as I can. Again, I've run these every single month for 4 years, so I've run a range of topics, but this one's really, really important to me, and it's something that I've never covered before. So something I'm really passionate about. So that's enough about me. Well, maybe not. I've got another slide here. So yeah, this is my before and after. I'll stop going on about me after this. But yeah, I don't believe in fad diets, don't believe in food guilt. I teach what actually helps to stop the binge cycle. And I believe it's not about willpower. It's about self-awareness, because I spent years thinking I just didn't have willpower, which held me back a lot. It's about regulation, it's about having a plan, and it's about having not self-sabotaging when life punches you in the face, which for me was every Thursday when I felt like I had a meltdown and life was just overwhelming. So I'm going to take you through the methods that I've used and that I've used on many clients to help them. Again, guys, I know that it's late. I know that a lot of people are maybe cooking the tea or putting the kids to bed. Completely appreciate that. If anybody wants to put the cameras on, that's always appreciated, because it's nice to see some friendly faces. Cool. So first activity, I'm just going to go into what even is binge or emotional eating. Because again, they're two separate things. It can be both, but they are separate things. So we have binge eating and we have emotional eating. Because simply telling yourself you've got no self-control, unfortunately, isn't the real diagnosis. And I've heard that many times, and I used to do that myself. I just don't have control over food. I've just got no limit. I'm just a bottomless pit. Again, the language that you use with yourself is very important as well, because what you say is what you become. So binge eating is essentially eating large amounts of food in one sitting, usually quickly and secretly, and it's followed by guilt and shame. And emotional eating is usually eating to soothe, numb, distract, or celebrate emotions, not because you are hungry. You can do both and still function like a normal human, but also feel like food is controlling your life. So those are the differences. I'm going to do a quick activity with you and see if we can kind of identify what the differences are. So, game, binge or legit hunger. So pop in the chat. So you're going to put in the chat, number 1, if it's binge eating, or number 2, if it's emotional. You might not get this right. I'm not going to be marking down scores. I'm just intrigued to know what we think things are. So, scenario 1, you just got dumped. You cry your way through a tub of Ben & Jerry's while watching Bridget Jones and texting your ex accidentally on purpose. Do you think this is binge eating or emotional eating? Oh, we're very quick. Everyone's putting 2. Cool. So it's emotional eating. Yeah. So going back, you are all correct. Number 2 is emotional eating. So we're on to a winner so far. Scenario 2. You skip breakfast and lunch. At 8 p.m, you black out and inhale a family-sized pizza, 4 biscuits and toast, even though you're full halfway through. Is this binge or emotional eating? Oh, we're all putting 1. God, you're better than me at this. Yeah, binge eating. Correct. Scenario 4. You've said no to cake all day, then at 10 p.m, you demolish the cake, crisps and cereal, straight from the box, standing up, heart racing, unable to stop. Is this binge or emotional eating? We're all putting 1. Cool. You're correct. Binge eating. 5-star students, a lot of you. Scenario 3. You had a stressful Zoom meeting and now you're 14 bites deep into a block of chocolate without noticing. So eating while you're working. 2. We're all putting 2. Correct. Emotional eating. Well done. Scenario 5. You're hungry, but it's Friday night, you're bored, and you eat a full bag of popcorn and wine gums while scrolling TikTok. We've all been there. Everyone's putting 1. Oh, we've got a couple of 2s, but mainly 1s. It's actually 2. Emotional eating. And then scenario 6. I think this is the last one. You've had a good week and tell yourself you deserve a treat, then go on a full-blown snack rampage for hours. Rewarding yourself with food. We've got a mixture. And you are correct if you've got a mixture, because it could be both. So it's not always black and white. Sometimes emotional eating leads to a binge. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness. And when you can spot what kind of hunger you're feeling, you can actually do something about it. So one can lead to the other, and they both can lead, between each other as well. So that's what's really important to understand. So it's not always going to be black and white what it is, but trying to recognize what it is really important. And you've done really well there because everyone pretty much answered every single one correctly. So you've got a good amount of self-awareness. So, which part of the binge cycle do you relate to the most? So again, pop it in the chat. Is it the restriction? Is it the craving? Is it the binge? Is it the guilt? Or is it all of them? Help me. Which one is it? Which one do you feel is problematic for you? 1 and 2, 5, 2 and 5, 2, 5, 3, 2, 3 and 4. So yeah, we've got a lot of mixture here, which is good. I like variety. All 2 and 4. Cool. Lovely. Thank you, guys. So this is the cycle, the binge eating circle of hell. So it usually starts off with some type of restriction. That's always where it's going to start. Eating less than normal, eating only certain types of food, restricting. For me, that again, really kind of, I wouldn't say weird, but I used to avoid high fat food because in my head, fat made you fat. Now, this wasn't necessarily avoiding fat from things like saturated food, fried food. I would avoid whole eggs. So I wouldn't eat the yolk of eggs because I thought eggs made you fat, which is funny now because I probably eat about 3 eggs a day. I probably go through about 20 to 30 eggs a week, which is hilarious that I used to just avoid the yolk. I used to get low fat, no fat, everything because I was scared of fat. And that was my kind of approach to only eating certain types of food. So that was my type of restriction. You'd then go through the struggle, which is feeling obsessed with food and feeling hungry. And then you would binge. So give in to cravings, eat more than usual, and feel out of control. For me, that was the offer, which was, I think it was, I don't even know what the offer used to be anymore, but I used to get, I think it was two big packs of chili heatwave Doritos and sour cream dip for a fiver. Don't know if they still do that offer anymore because I've not eaten chili heat Doritos for a long time. Not because I'm restricted, just because I just don't, I'm not bothered anymore. But that used to be my binge thing. And I used to remember going around the supermarket with my mum and she used to be like, "Do you really need those?" I think my mum's on this call actually, so you're probably laughing if you're here. And I used to obviously rebel. And the more that people told me not to eat that way, the more I wanted to eat that way, which again, you might feel yourself. But then I would binge, feel guilty or ashamed, feel like a failure, regret binging, and struggle. And then I'd go through the cycle again. And if we all remember the era of skinny teas, then I'd go on 2 weeks of drinking skinny teas, losing 7 pounds, feeling amazing, and the cycle continues. So it's absolutely hell on earth. Very similar to the emotional eating circle of hell. So you have uncomfortable emotions, soothe with food, punishment through restriction, and then that usually leads to binge eating. Again, guys, I know it's hard because with social media and all these mukbangs and things like that, we think that binge eating means like eating to excess, which it does in a sense, but also over consuming and having no control over food is still emotion and binge eating. It's still a problem. You've still got a problem or an issue with your relationship with food. And I know it's hard to stomach thinking you have to admit to yourself, I have a problem with food. But if you cannot stop yourself eating, then that is a problem with food, no matter how significant it may feel or be. And this is why I'm here to obviously help that. So, why willpower isn't your problem? This is used to be a massive issue with me. I used to just think, oh, I'm never going to have a strong athletic physique because I do not have willpower. I don't believe willpower is a problem because I don't think people are born out of the womb with motivation and willpower. It's something that we are aware of and we're taught and we learn. So it's not that you're weak, you're just human with a nervous system. So hunger isn't just physical, usually it's emotional, psychological, and hormonal. Diet culture has taught you to ignore your body, and binging is often your body's rebellion after being ignored all day. Willpower is a thing for what you usually, willpower is for things you don't actually want to do, you want to eat, so we need a better plan. As humans, we are designed to survive. Our bodies do not like dieting, our bodies do not like a calorie deficit. Our bodies essentially feel like we're dying when we are eating less than our body's requirements. So obviously, it's going to come with repercussions. In order to lose fat, we have to put our body through that. But understanding the why is really important and understanding it's not a willpower problem. So, what's actually driving your eating? So it's not actually the biscuits calling your name. I know we used to like to use that saying. It's just them calling our name out the cupboards. Unfortunately, that's not happening. So there is usually a trigger to it. So it's a range of things. It can either be stress, overwhelm, loneliness, depriving yourself all day, the fuck it moment, boredom, procrastination, or your nervous system is dysregulated, and food is essentially temporary safety. So, what are we trying to find with food? Usually, comfort, emotional response, dopamine release. We are not usually hungry when we get into emotional and stress eating. We're usually trying to find an emotion, trying to feel something, like get a positive outcome. That's what we're usually trying to achieve. And this is where it comes to the science of dopamine and overeating. So again, if you've been coached by me before, if you're an active client, you will know you go through a shit ton of learning resources, and every single learning resource, every single thing you go through with me, whether it's me teaching you how to get your steps in or why you should stay hydrated or the importance of sleep, I always go on about the science behind everything because like I've mentioned again, if you've had a strategy call, if I say to you, drink 3 litres of water a day, you're probably not going to do it. If I tell you that fat comes out of your urine, fat cells come out of your wee, that lack of hydration is going to make you hungrier. Lack of hydration is going to affect your digestive system. You're going to get fatigued if you've not drank a litre of water before 11 a.m. All those little scientific facts are going to make you want to do something. So that's why I'm really science-based. So if we're talking about brain chemistry for a second, specifically dopamine, that is your brain's feel-good neurotransmitter. This is why people suffer with alcoholism, with drug abuse, with going back to the toxic exes, because we're humans. We're trying to get dopamine. The only problem is when it comes to food is the only addiction on this planet that you cannot quit. You cannot quit food. We all need to eat. So that is why I believe it is the most challenging addiction on the planet. If you've got a drug addiction, you eventually can become a non-user. If you're addicted to alcohol, you can eventually become sober and never drink again because you don't need those things to survive. With food, you need it to survive. So it's the hardest addiction to manage, in my own opinion. And the statistics around weight loss and regaining the weight back are mind blowing. Over 85% of people that lose 20 pounds of fat or more will regain it back within the first year. I mean, those statistics are mad. And if I told everyone those statistics, I think, what's the point in coaching? But my clients, touch wood, do not gain the fat back because of the way that I teach them. But, this is why you need, these facts and figures to really understand how your brain and mind are operating so you don't get in that position. So what is dopamine and why does food trigger it? So dopamine is part of your brain's reward system. So it gets released when we do things that help us survive. Again, I always talk about survival instincts because at the end of the day, we are humans and we are put on this planet to survive. It's a fight or flight. So everything that we do in life is to be the, survival of the fittest, essentially. So things like eating, socializing, or even getting a text notification, it makes you feel pleasure, motivation, and reinforcement. That's why we've all got addictions to our phones because it releases dopamine. So if we're talking about highly palatable food, so think of things like sugar, fat, salt, so things like chocolate, pizza, ice cream, all those foods that you listed when I asked you what your island food would be, it's because they release dopamine. Why do they release dopamine? Why can't we get dopamine from a chicken salad? I mean, some of you might. Personally, for me, that's not going to be my go-to choice. But it's because of an evolutionary perspective. So these foods, chocolate, salt, sugar, they were once rare and they were once very valuable. You've also got to think that food that is higher in sugar and higher in carbs gives you that spike of energy because it's pushing up your blood sugar. As humans, we are constantly trying to find energy because we're trying to survive. So just because we've moved into modern society doesn't mean that your brain isn't still foraging in the wild to hit the jackpot. That's all what it's doing. So every time you eat those kinds of food, your brain goes, yes, that was amazing, let's do that again. And it's creating a reward system because, like I said, these foods used to be rare. Unfortunately, now we're in modern society where everything is easily accessible. Most people can get chocolate within 5 or 10 minutes from Uber Eats, Deliveroo, or walking down to the shop. So they're really easily accessible, which makes this process a lot harder. Now, why does this lead to overeating? So here's the twist. Over time, if you regularly eat for emotional comfort or overeat highly rewarding foods, your brain starts to adjust. And this is why, unfortunately, people who suffer with their weight from a young age are highly likely to become overweight or morbidly obese, like I did, like a lot of people do. And the reason why is because your brain starts releasing less dopamine in response to the same foods, and your dopamine receptors become less sensitive. This is why, for example, let's think about drug abuse. People might start drug abuse on smoking weed, and then they might move to cocaine. Not everybody. And then they might move to meth and stronger drugs because their dopamine receptors are becoming less sensitive to the initial drug. So they need more, I guess, harder drugs to get that same dopamine response. And that's why drug abuse, alcohol abuse is a very, very slippery slope. Exactly the same with overeating. So now you need more of the same food to get the same pleasure feeling, and this is called downregulation. So it's eerie similar to how addictive behaviors develop, like I've given that example with the drug abuse. So, if you feel like, oh, I used to feel good after one row of chocolate, now I feel like I need the whole block. And that's why people feel like they've got no control because they're chasing a dopamine response. They're not chasing the feeling of fullness. So understanding this is really, really important because you're forever going to be stuck if you don't understand that you're chasing dopamine. Yeah. So again, this is why it's going to lead to overeating, and this is why I'm really passionate about trying to stop women as early on as possible in their life, because the longer this goes on, the harder it is to overcome because your brain and your dopamine is going to keep down regulating. And once you get in your 40s, 50s, 60s, it's a lot harder to overcome than your 20s and 30s. Is it impossible? No, of course not. I mean, the majority of the clients that I coach are actually over the age of 40. I know it doesn't really show that on my social media just because my older clients don't particularly like their progress photos being shared, but it's something that you can fix at any point in your life, and I truly believe that. But the earlier that you start adopting these processes, the better. So dopamine isn't about pleasure, it's about seeking. So dopamine is not just released when you eat, it's also released in the anticipation of food. So that means that your brain starts craving and chasing the reward before you even take a bite. It's like that exciting feeling that and you get if you're having a Chinese takeaway on a Friday night and you're looking forward to it all day and you're in a good mood because you know you're getting a takeaway. And this is why you might find yourself thinking about food all day, even when you're not physically hungry. It's not always about willpower. Your brain has literally been rewired to seek food as a coping mechanism or a shortcut to feeling good. So, emotional eating strengthens the cycle. So, think about it. If you have been coached, you have done probably my mastermind coaching on rewiring your brain, and I talk a lot about neurotransmitters when it comes to building habits and how powerful the brain is in terms of habit building. So, the same principle applies when it comes to emotional eating. I want you to think of your brain having bonds and strengthening bonds. It literally does that. And I show photos of that in that coaching if you've watched that coaching before. But if you eat when you're stressed, sad, lonely, or anxious, the dopamine hit reinforces the behavior, not because it solved the problem, because it gave you temporary relief. So that's how the brain starts linking feeling bad, eat something. This creates a strong neural loop. Negative emotion, eat, dopamine hit, temporary relief, guilt, shame, repeat. The more that you do this behavior, the stronger those bonds are going to be, and the harder it is going to be to break. So we need to break those bonds, but we also need to stop strengthening the bonds and the cycle because you have just wired yourself to believe in that food is going to solve your problems. when it's not. You can undo this. So that has obviously become your default coping strategy, even if you consciously don't want to overeat. I truly believe that there's not a woman on this planet who wants to be fat. You know, nobody wants to be overweight. As much as people like to lie to themselves with body positivity, being overweight is very, very difficult. Life is very, very difficult overweight. And I know because I lived in that body for many, many years. It's not a conscious thing. People don't eat and think, I want to be fat or I want to be overweight. I truly believe that. But the good news is, just like that habit we've learned through repetition, it can be unlearned and rewired with awareness, new coping strategies, and systems that reduce triggers. And that is obviously what I'm going to teach you today. Prevention is always better than the cure. So we're going to go through some preventive strategies and things that are going to help you resolve this as well. Big thing, sleeping less will make you eat more. I don't know how many clients have told you the less you sleep, the fatter you will be. And this is because when you don't get enough sleep, it throws your hunger and fullness hormones completely out of whack, specifically ghrelin and leptin. There's a massive link between lack of sleep and obesity. Put it into ChatGPT, you'll be astounded about the statistics. So, oh, we've got a message. Yeah, Christina, you're always telling me off for being up late. Yes, Christina, I am. So get your notepad out, get your pen out, and this is why. I can see you guys when you are online on the coaching app. I can see you when you're messaging me at midnight, 1 a.m., and I will call you out on it. And this is why I'm not being harsh, but this is really the building blocks to stop overeating. So, ghrelin is your go eat hormone. So it stimulates appetite. Emily busted. Leptin is your full hormone and it signals satiety. So these are the hormones that we want to be working correctly. If these hormones are out of whack, you're going to think you're hungry all the time and you're not going to think you're full. You are. It's your hormones that are telling you differently. And what does control these hormones? Your sleep. Your sleep controls these hormones. So ghrelin increases. So when your body thinks it's starving, so it ramps up the hormone that makes you hungrier. Leptin decreases. So this is a hormone that tells your brain you've had enough food, drops. So you don't get that satisfied feeling even after eating. And this is why there's a couple of conditions that make fat loss harder. Menopause, PCOS. So hormonal imbalances and menopause. And this is because sleep's affected a lot of the time. So I've got PCOS, which is polycystic ovary syndrome. A lot of women have it. Again, this is hormone dysregulation with your menstrual cycle. Again, I've got it and I've lost 125 pounds. Anybody can. Menopause, night sweats, anxiety, muscle aches. There's a lot of reasons why women in the menopause and perimenopause suffer with their sleep. Again, this is why I coach on it. And that affects your hunger hormone. So menopause doesn't make you fat or make you gain weight. It is the other factors that make weight loss harder. And lucky for you guys, I'm going to run a massive masterclass, not next one, the one after, on menopause for anyone who struggles with that. But this is why your first thing that you need to do before you do anything is look at your sleep. You need to be sleeping a minimum, and I mean a minimum of 7 hours a night. Now, I get clients who say, oh, I'm sleeping 8 hours a night, but if you're still waking up feeling tired every morning, you are not getting into deep levels of REM and deep sleep. And that is probably because you're not physically active enough because you're not strength training. I'm not going to be talking about strength training today, but that is really, really important, part of getting optimal sleep. But sleep is your grounding. Less sleep, more hunger, plus less fullness equals more likely to overeat. And it's not just that you're hungrier, you're also going to crave more high calorie, high carb, and sugary foods. Your brain's reward center becomes more active in response to junk food, making it harder to resist temptation. The combo of increased hunger, decreased fullness, and stronger cravings creates the perfect storm for overeating, especially late at night when decision making is also impaired. We have impaired decision making at night. And this is why every single person that I coach usually struggles with overeating at night. So, if that's not a clear sign to get more sleep, I don't know what is. Secondly, stop rewarding yourself with food. I know this sounds very harsh, but you are not a dog. You do not need a treat. I used to treat myself all the time with food. Treating yourself with food, guys, is not self-care. It is self-destruction. Think about it. If you are overweight and you are struggling with your weight, why the hell do you think it is a good thing to be rewarding yourself with food? Again, you are creating a cycle. I do good things, I get food, and you're rewarding yourself. There is plenty of other things that you can do to reward yourself than with food. Again, I talk about this with the habits and routines masterclass, but reward systems are very, very important for a fat loss journey. And there's plenty of things you can reward yourself with. So, you know, for that 40, 50 quid that you're going to spend on a takeaway, book yourself in for a massage. I used to never spend money on things like that because I thought there was a waste, but I wouldn't think twice about ordering 40 quid's worth of McDonald's from Uber Eats when I was feeling sad. Ridiculous. Stop the I deserve this mindset. Reframe, I deserve to feel my best tomorrow too. An emotional bank account. Are you withdrawing or depositing with that choice? Yeah. Again, I really do believe in rewarding yourself from doing the things that you need to do on your fat loss journey. Reward yourself with a new pair of gym trainers, or something like that. Don't reward yourself with food, ever. It's not a reward system. This is essentially what happens. Obviously, you excess consumption of rewarding foods, that's going to lead to desensitization of the reward system. Individual wants to eat more food, it increases intake of food, overeating, and results are increasing body weight. Not always, of course, but you're essentially desensitizing your own reward system. And it gets to the point where food's not really a reward anymore. So you're not really feeling rewarded because you're doing it so frequently. It's not exciting. Yeah. Instant gratification. Desire or trigger identified, immediate action taken, short-term satisfaction, reward fades and desire returns. There is a massive difference between instant and delayed gratification. And I, many, many years ago, I joined, the reason I do these webinars, by the way, guys, is because used to join webinars like this from like life coaches and things, and they genuinely changed my life. And that's why I do them myself. But I went on one from a guy called Rob Dial. He's got a podcast called The Mindset Mentor. I don't know if anyone's listened to it on Spotify, but I highly recommend. And he taught me the difference between instant and delayed gratification. That completely changed my life. I started a business off the back end of that. I changed my whole life on the back end of understanding the difference between instant and delayed gratification. And I talk about it a lot in my other coachings, but this is just a very simplified version. Delayed gratification is long-term pleasure. Instant gratification is long-term pain. You need to understand that instant gratification is long-term pain. Everything in your life, you should be focusing on the long-term pleasure. I do not wake up and go to the gym every single day to an extent. I mean, I don't train every single day, but I go in there for saunas and self-care and things like that. But you don't go into the gym and train legs to wake up the next day with a big bum. If you're doing that, you're just going to forever be dissatisfied. I don't every Thursday and every Sunday carve out 3 hours to prep my food for the entire week to feel instantly better. No, because I know I'm going to feel better in a month's time, in a year's time. I don't run these coaching calls and spend months and months planning them, emailing them out, creating adverts on them, wanting women to do it to instantly get more clients. No, because clients are on this call now that have joined these calls for 3 years that have never signed up for me, ever. But they'll just keep joining these calls because it's a long-term pleasure on hopefully somebody thinking one day, I've listened to Sophie enough now. I'm actually going to get her help and I'm going to work with her one-to-one. And really understanding that this portion of delayed gratification is going to give you long-term pleasure. Anything in life that is giving you instant gratification is going to give you long-term pain. Yeah. A big one is prevent the stress. Stress is a binge trigger. Prevention is power. Time blocking, boundaries, saying no, 10 minutes to wind down. Prevention with stress, again, massive, massive problem. Stress increases cortisol. Cortisol prevents fat loss. Cortisol also increases the ability to overeat. Cortisol is also the reason why a lot of women cannot eat breakfast and feel sick in the morning. That is a very, very high signal that have got high stress and you need to sort it out because we should be feeling naturally hungry in the morning. Nikki, I know that you mentioned this to me in a coaching form that you said, oh my God, like I actually wake up feeling hungry. What is happening? you are managing your stress better and your metabolism speed up. So congratulations. So it's a great thing. Um, so again, there's loads of different methods on and how you manage stress. Again, I do work with this clients on a one-to-one basis on stress reduction. Nikki's put, yeah, always need breakfast now. Good. Again, invest in yourself. Getting a coach lays out the plan for you to prevent overthinking and second guessing, which causes mental fatigue. Again, if anyone is interested in coaching, I've got a couple of slides at the end on how I actually help you with this one-to-one, but prevention is always going to be better than the cure. Meal planning equals self-respect. Chaos leads to cravings. Planning reduces food and decision fatigue. Prepare to fail on your fat loss journey if every single day you open the fridge and think, what am I going to eat for any meal? That is decision fatigue, it's lack of planning, lack of awareness, and it's going to leave you very miserable. You have to plan your food. I know I talk about previous masterclasses, but everything that I mentioned today, there is an hour-long video in my coaching system that talks about it because meal planning and meal preparation changed my life. When you are an emotional eater and when you rely on food for comfort and you leave yourself up to choice every single day, what the hell? Meal planning is going to take away that choice. Yeah, because it doesn't matter. Every day I could probably eat a pizza. Every day. You're lying if you think you couldn't eat Domino's every day. Not that I think about it, but if someone put it in front of you, it's very hard to resist. But when I'm opening the fridge every single day and I've got my Nando's chicken pasta and I'm banging it in the microwave, I have completely taken the decision element away from it. I'm not giving myself the time to think because I'm hungry, the food's there, it's planned, it's prepared. I'm going to hit my macros, I'm going to hit my goals. Not doing that is leaving you in a very vulnerable situation and making your own life very hard. Building a positive food environment, you crave what is in sight. Reorganize your space. Again, we all operate differently. Personally, for me, I have zero crisps, chocolate, treats in the house. Some people may say that's restrictive. I just know that my brain does not have an off switch. So me having things and thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to eat mindfully is bullshit because there's many times where I've bought a big, right, I'm going to buy the snack size of chocolate and I'm going to have, a snack size every day. That works for some clients, and I give clients multiple methods on how to manage things because not everyone operates the same. For me, I used to just eat all 10 snack sizes. So what was the point? There's no point for me. So for me, it's out of sight, out of mind. And again, it just over time, I've got to the point where I know it's hard to believe, but don't really crave it anymore. It's not in my environment. Reorganize your space, even if it's healthy options at the front and center, so you're not seeing it every day. A lot of the time I say, oh, but what about the snacks that I buy for my kids' lunch boxes? If you're buying really unhealthy things for your kids' lunch boxes, you probably should maybe readjust what you may be buying for them as well. Because again, a lot of the time, if you suffer with your weight or overeating, usually it can be from childhood and the way that you've been taught to eat. So again, you want to really instill good things in your kids as well, so it doesn't happen to them. Not saying that's always going to be the case, but if so, like put those things out of sight, out of mind, and maybe pack your kids' lunch boxes a couple of days in advance, so it's not you're not always reaching for those stuff. Like make your environment easier and better. Nikki's put chocolate behind the strawberries and blueberries in the fridge, so pick them instead. Yeah, exactly. Don't have things in your eyesight all the time because you're making your environment harder. My 5-step system to stop binging emotional eating. So no, this doesn't require a juice cleanse. No fasting or juice cleanses, please. So the first thing, sorry guys, I know I'm like absolutely smashing through this, but there is a lot on this, so I don't want to have you guys staying on here for hours. But number one, feed yourself like a grown woman. Coffee until 2 p.m. isn't a meal plan. Balancing meals, eating carbohydrates, eating enough protein, eating a real breakfast. No more saving calories for later. Binging often starts with restriction, not overeating. You've got to think about it, guys. You do not binge from a period of eating too much. You don't overeat massively in the morning and then usually overeat massively in the night. Binging usually comes from the fact you've not eaten enough. Starving all day just to be good equals nighttime gremlin mode activated. You cannot beat hunger, and I proved it to myself the other day. I didn't mean to do this, but I woke up, I had so much work on, and I knew it was being a massive day. And I kept saying to myself, right, in 20 minutes, I'm going to eat breakfast, 20 minutes, I'm going to eat breakfast. It got to 2 p.m. I'd not eaten anything, which is again absolute red flag. And then it got to the evening, I could not stop eating. You cannot beat hunger. It's going to creep up on you, creep up on anybody. You have to start your day eating within an hour of waking up and eating at least 30 grams of protein. If you want to know how to do that, send me a message separately. But you have to make sure you're fueling yourself first thing in the morning. Name it to tame it. If you're not hungry, what are you? Again, when my therapist taught me this, which is quite funny, as you can probably tell, like I'm very like I work a million miles an hour. I'm very much an overthinker. And I really do go a million miles an hour with my work and my job. Again, that has its downfalls because you can hit burnout. So naming that like little person on your shoulder telling you to work harder or telling you to overeat and put a name to it and just think, oh, it's Karen. It's Karen telling me to do that. And start dissociating those voices with yourself and stop thinking it's you. Giving it a name is really important as well. But practice pausing before eating. Ask, what am I actually feeling? Emotional eating is the avoidance of discomfort. So you can name that little person on your shoulder telling you to overeat and try and dissociate it with yourself, but also pause. Pausing is so important. Again, the problem that I used to have was I fancied something and I ate it within minutes of fancying it. I didn't even give myself or my brain the opportunity to actually think, do I need this food? What am I actually feeling? Am I hungry? And a really good method is just tell yourself, right, I'm going to wait 20 minutes. And if I still fancy it after 20 minutes, then yeah, I'm going to have a bit. But give yourself 20 minutes. The amount of times I've thought, oh, I'll give myself 20 minutes and I've forgotten. I mean, you can't want it that much if you forgot. Yeah, so that's another way that you can do it. But look at the feelings wheel. Again, this is used a lot in loads of different types of therapies. Google it, put it on your phone, and then, decide, right, what am I feeling? Am I angry? Am I sad? Am I happy? Right, I'm sad. Am I lonely? Is that giving me feelings of isolation? Cool. So if you're feeling isolated, let's go do something that stops you feeling isolated. The feelings wheel's great because you can actually get to the problem and get a solution to it rather than relying on food. What else am I feeling? Depressed, hurt, guilty, empty, abandoned, victimized, whatever it is, find out what it is. Are you feeling, frustrated, distant, infuriated, hostile, jealous? There's always an emotion. Find out what that emotion is causing and then have a solution to the problem that you're feeling rather than just soothing with food. Step 3, pause the binge. Interrupt the pattern without needing to be good. Stop trying to, I hate the saying, oh, I've been good this week, I've been good. This journey is not about being good or being bad. This is just about creating a lifestyle. Simply telling yourself you're good or bad is again strengthening all these connotations we've got around food. So give yourself permission to eat after you pause for 5 minutes. Again, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is. Try alternatives to soothe you. Put your favourite song on. I usually get the vacuum cleaner out and start vacuuming a room. Do something productive. You don't need to stop. You just need to give yourself the moment to choose what you want to do. What would your 5 minute pause activity to be? What I want everyone to do is just write something in the comments that they think they can do to pause that cycle, because obviously it'll give other people ideas as well. So just to pause for a second, write down something that you are going to do every time you feel like you have got a craving or you want to overeat, and promise yourself something to do. It can be anything. Vac your house, pet your dog, ring your friend, go for a walk, play with your dog. Yeah, there's so much you can do. Message a friend. Yeah, loads of people have got play with the dog, which is a good one. Go into the garden. It's even a good time for journaling. If you want it to emotional and binge eat, usually you're feeling some type of emotion, so you can sit and maybe write stuff down, play a game. Yeah, I like the hoovering idea. Funny thing is, I like trying to do something productive because like life always gets on top of you, so trying to use it to do something productive. or usually like I'll end up playing guitar, and that's why you'll end up with like a cover of Oasis every couple of weeks because I'm probably distracting myself from procrastination doing something else, cleaning your windows. Oh, that I like you said you put mum. I thought who's going to clean the mum windows? But that's my mum saying she's going to clean the windows because yeah, you love cleaning your windows. Your windows couldn't get any cleaner. Um, cool. So step 4, organize outfits. That's a good one, Vicky. Cool, lovely. Thank you, guys. Step 4, regulate your nervous system. Your body's not broken, it's just freaked out. So emotional eating is a stress response. So breath work. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 6. Press hands together hard for 5 seconds. So literally like pressing your hands together really, really hard. You can also do tapping, which is like where you tap. Again, you can go on YouTube and learn how to do that. That helps people again from trauma responses. And again, you just want to basically regulate your nervous system. Doing breath work, tapping, pressing your hands together, you've just regulated your nervous system better than 90% of the internet. Grounding, so the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. Again, there's lots of different methods I'm showing you because different things work for different people. Identify 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. The redirection of focus can help calm the nervous system and reduce anxiety symptoms. Step 5, have a default plan because future you can't be trusted around cheesecake. So keep a list of things to do when the binge urge hits. Keep binge trigger foods out of arm's reach, not off limits. Again, we don't want to completely take anything away from the diet. Let go of the I've already ruined the day mentality. Again, this is just crippling. Cool. Thank you, Emily, for that. So Emily's put Brad Yates is awesome for tapping. He has loads of videos on YouTube. It's a great recommendation. Someone's put selling their clothes on Vinted. That's a great one as well. I actually made £2,000 of selling all my fat clothes, what I say. So yeah, if that gives you motivation to make more money, then so be it. What's one non-food activity you could try instead of binging? So create a list of things to do when the binge urge hits. Keep binge trigger foods out of arm's reach. Oh, I've just done that. Oh, I've got that slide twice. Oh no, I must have just read it twice. How stupid. Truth bombs. So you're not broken. Binging is a strategy, not a flaw. You've just been taught the wrong tools. Food isn't the problem. It's the solution you're using to cope. And with the right tools, food stops being so damn dramatic. Toolkit, the 5-minute pause method. Pause, set a timer for 5 minutes. You're not saying no to the food, you're just saying not yet. Okay, so you're not saying no to yourself, you're just saying not yet. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Check in, ask yourself, am I physically hungry? What am I really feeling? And is food going to fix this? This is a massive one. Is food going to fix this? I know this sounds quite negative, but when you do overeat and feel like a piece of shit, because we've all been there, oh, we shouldn't have eaten that, we shouldn't have done that, write a list of how you felt. Every time you want to do it, look at that list and realize, I do not want to feel like that. And start teaching yourself and start creating that strong bond with not wanting to do something. Eat with awareness or try something from the reset menu first. Binge SOS journal prompts. When you feel the urge come in, crack open your journal or your notes app and use these. What am I feeling right now? Is it emotion? Is it physical? What triggered this feeling? Again, if you find the trigger, then you can resolve the trigger, which stops you then getting triggered. If food wasn't available, what would I do instead? And what do I actually need right now? How will I feel 20 minutes after this binge and how will I feel if I pause? I kid you not, guys, the feeling of self-discipline when you overcome that, or for example, when you go to the gym when you don't want to go to the gym, or when you wake up early when you don't want to wake up early, you start getting dopamine from those actions, and that dopamine outweighs the feeling of binge. And that's why people say to me all the time, how have you stayed so motivated for so many years? I've not, in 6 years, had more than 2 weeks off exercising. And that's usually down to illness. And it's because I've created a dopamine cycle where the feeling that I get from exercising overcomes any other feeling that I get from anything else. So I know how amazing it makes me feel. Not every single time, we've all had shit sessions, but that is because I have started breaking down the dopamine response that I would usually get from things like food, self-sabotage, alcohol, all the things that I used to struggle with. If you guys can just check that you're on. Oh, sorry. I just muted somebody. I think that was actually you, Mum, because I could hear a bit of feedback. I've muted you. Um, Nervous system reset menu. So instead of using food to calm your body, again, box breathing, cold water on face and hands, go outside for a couple of minutes, put your legs up on a wall, scream into a pillow if you need to, shake, dance. Sometimes I just love to put a playlist on and dance around my house, get that feeling of dopamine from somewhere else. Name 5 things you see, 4 you feel, 3 you hear, 2 you smell, 1 you taste. So that's like your little toolkit. Trigger tracker. Copy this and complete it after urges or binges. You'll spot patterns fast. So put the date, the situation, the emotion, the food that you're craving, your response, and your outcome. Again, and then you get to see over time that your triggers and your urges get less and less and less, which is exciting. I used to get like 10 urges a day. Probably get one a week. Yeah, it does really start to decrease. Food freedom affirmations. Say to yourself, I'm not broken, I'm learning new tools. Food is not the enemy, it's just a signal. Wanting food is always going to be a signal that you need something. Yes, you need to just find out what you need. I can trust myself around all foods. I do not need to earn or to burn my food. We do not need to earn food. We do not need to burn food. Very, very important. Every moment is a new choice. The reason, and I know this sounds really harsh, but whatever position that you are in, sat here today, is just an accumulation of choices that you have made over your life. That is simply it. What job you're in, you know, how motivated you are on a daily basis, what partner you've chosen, what you weigh, your fitness ability, your health, to a certain extent. Obviously, some things we're not in control over. Pretty much everything is just an accumulation of choices that you have made. And the next 10 years of your life, the next 20 years of your life can look totally different from a different array of choices that you are going to make in your life, hopefully. Again, why getting a coach, aka built-in accountability, really works. Again, if you're a client on this call, which I know a lot of you are, so well done for turning up, guys. I'm going to talk a little bit about coaching. Obviously, you can say if you want, and if you want to chime in and offer your 2 cents on how you found me as a coach, you're welcome to as well if you ever want to unmute and talk about it. But I'm just going to go into a little bit about coaching and why this can really help for any clients that are on here that have potentially considered joining the Elevate program or considered getting a coach. So, majority of time, women know what to do. There is plenty of information out there on the internet which tells us what we need to do to lose weight. It's not a myth. You've read the books, you've probably saved the Instagram post, you've probably got, 200 recipes saved, you've probably even got a color-coded meal plan. But knowing, unfortunately, doesn't equal doing. Yeah. So that's where I come in. I can spot your blind spots. You probably going to say, I don't know why I binge. I will go, well, I'm going to look at your meal plan and see, you've skipped meals and you've had a stressful week from your boss. I help you interrupt your autopilot. I help you stop spiraling. If you message me, which I do get, I'm about to face plant into a bag of jelly snakes, I can actually help you. I hold you to a higher standard, not your current mood. No more meh, I'll do it next week. I hold clients to a very high standard. This isn't about a dictatorship as such. But I am firm but fair. Oh, Holly's just put, this is funny actually. Just to say, before I jump off, I attended these calls for about a year before I signed up. Nothing beats actually signing up. 1 stone down, 2 more to go. Thanks, Soph. That's so funny you said that, Hol. Bye, Holly. Have a good evening. But like I said, some clients join these calls for years before they sign up. Long term results, not instant gratification. And obviously now Holly's a client and she's doing amazing. I give you structure when your brain wants snacks and chaos. So plans, check-ins, reminders, tools. Also, you don't have to do it on your own. If you've done things on your own for years and years and years and you're still struggling, maybe it's time invest in yourself and get a coach. Again, accountability doesn't equal pressure. I'm sure if you're a client, you know that the last thing that I'm doing is putting more pressure on your plate. I'm here to hold you to account. So I give you support, clarity, and remind you that you're not crazy. You're just human. News flash, if you could do it alone, you probably would by now. And again, I'm so passionate about this, guys, because I stayed in such a bad cycle for many years because I wish there was somebody like me available. So I've essentially created something with the Elevate program, which is everything that I needed back then. And that's why it is so successful. A couple of things, again, this is, if you want a strategy call, I will put the link in the chat before I go so you can book a call with me. But this is usually the problems that I am getting. So overwhelmed, you're on and off, your lack of organisation, and most people have got a lack of time. Sorry, Charlotte's just put in the chat. Thanks, guys. You're so good. All the clients vouching for me, but she's put, I've had really up and down a few weeks, and Sophie's been encouraging and not adding any more stress, which made me want to stay on track more. Thanks, Charlotte. Um, but yeah, so obviously a lot of women suffer with a lot of overwhelm, lack of organisation. I have created something very, very clever called the habit matrix system. So basically, if you join the Elevate program every week, well, every day, you would log in, you'd have your habits and tasks. These are all built upon what you need. And I build them over time. So again, I basically get you into a system where you are eating correctly, drinking enough water, sleeping, your stress levels are regulated, all on autopilot by building habits up. This is designed for women who are tired of doing everything and still feel behind. It's going to eliminate your overwhelm and burnout. It's going to prioritize what truly matters. I set clear, manageable targets and I build habits step by step. It's fast, efficient, and easy to follow. This is an absolute life changer when it comes to your journey. What's Nikki just put? I would never have lost this weight and all the centimeters in these 7 weeks. I think it's now if I hadn't joined, and I really would not be eating any oats, would not be eating any oats if I hadn't. Sally has put, I have made more progress in the past 12 weeks with Sophie than I did in 2 years with a previous coach. You guys probably think I'm paying you to say this. I've not actually told anyone to say this, but honestly, this is really, really warming my heart that you guys are writing all of this. Uh, Ria's put, I've been going to the gym and trying to eat healthy food for 7 years, and it's only in the past 6 to 12 months and since coaching with Sophie that I've built amazing habits, drinking 2 to 3 litres of waters every day, 10K steps, seem easy every day, and batch cook twice a week and training 3 sessions a week. Thanks so much for you guys that are putting it in there, and that just shows that I'm not bullshitting. What I do really does work. Like I said, I've coached close to 400 women now on Facebook. I've got a 5-star rating and I've never had a negative review. And I hope to keep that for the rest of my coaching life, which is hopefully many, many years ahead. But I just wanted to give you a bit of an insight on a couple of things that I do if, investing in yourself and, having me as your coach is something that you want. Again, in terms of nutrition, a lot of women have a problem with understanding macros. They don't have goals in place and they have no plan and preparation. I resolve this very, very simply. I have a very clever AI tool that I've heavily invested in, which have got all recipe packs that you can search by ingredients and by food. You get weekly video evaluation from me when it comes to your food. So I assess your food diary and I give you feedback via video. This is why I do not coach a lot of clients at any one time, because every client gets a lot of hours of my time every week. And then you also have got recipe videos. This is again to stop deprivation, to stop staring at the fridge and feeling overwhelmed. Again, you get weekly evaluation, clear manageable targets, no low calories, flexibility to eat out. I teach you how to eat basically from the ground up. Thanks guys for you guys that have stayed. There's just a couple more comments. Someone else has put, I've injured my back falling out of the bath, had a really bad week. Sophie's given me stretching exercises to replace my workouts. Sophie's coaching is bespoke and priceless. Thank you, Sophie. That's my pleasure. Just glad you didn't kill yourself falling out of the bath. And then in terms of your training, again, I haven't spoke about training today. Clients with me train 3 times a week, 30-minute sessions. They can be done from home. Again, a lot of people don't have the energy to exercise. They've got no strength training. They've got no knowledge where to start. This is all programmed for you. I spent thousands of pounds with videographers showing you step by step how to weightlift. And if you want to do it from home, that's perfectly fine as well. Again, really, really easy. It's not overwhelming. It's custom built. It's tailored to you. Like someone's just said, they got injured and the session's been changed. I basically program on your starting position. If you already go to the gym and you're already an advanced lifter, brilliant. I will make you even better. If you've never lifted a dumbbell in your life, I will get you very, very experienced with lifting weights. Again, we do all low impact. It's enjoyable. It's no exhausting hit. If you're somebody now that is going to a lot of gym classes and things like that, I really, really don't advise that long term because it doesn't help you fat loss. It's total flexibility. You drag and drop it around your schedule like this. Again, I've invested heavily in my own coaching app, so everything is really, really easy to manage. I don't know if there's any questions on this. What's Soph put? Soph's put, I'm a newbie and first week in. Oh, Oh, we've got so many good comments. I'm a newbie in first week in fact, first official day today, and I felt much more confident going to the gym today, knowing how to squat properly after Sophie corrected my form during onboarding week. I was nervous to join, but so glad I did. It feels good to invest in yourself. So that's it. Sophie's on her first day and she already feels better. Leanne, just to add to the pile of positivity, Sophie genuinely is the most kind and encouraging influence, and I've had lots of ups and downs recently, and whenever things haven't gone quite as planned, she knows exactly what to say, no judgment at all, just encouragement and empathy. Christina, I send Sophie videos of me lifting the weight she has set me, and she's read it and waiting with opinions and advice on how to make my lifts better and more effective. I appreciate you guys so much, but again, you can see like obviously the influx of positivity from people who have been, have been coached from me, even if they've not been coached from me by long. So no one's ever said to me, I regret being coached. A couple of transformations here, just so you can see some clients that have recently helped who have really struggled with emotional eating. Eden, who is now over 50 pounds down. She did the entire coaching process from her bedroom. She trained from that little bit of laminate flooring behind her, and completely changed her life. So again, there's plenty of these. You can go on Instagram or Facebook if you want to see. I've just put a couple of here again. Again, to see Liz, again, like she said, she actually started through a group coaching program that I ran. That was her after 10 weeks. Carly, go on about Callie all the time. She's amazing. But yeah, she had gone to the gym for years and considered herself a healthy eater, but never had structure and accountability. So there is hundreds of transformations, hundreds of Facebook reviews. Anybody who is needing help, again, all I can say is I don't want to do anyone a sales pitch. I want people to come onto this process wanting help and to be ready and invest in themselves. If you do want to book a call in with me, I never offer special offers, but because you've attended this masterclass, I will give you 2 weeks of coaching completely free. So if you want to come on board, if you book a call in the next 30 days, again, my calendar is very limited because currently I am fully booked with coaching, but I am one in, one out at the moment. So if you do book a call in the next 30 days, I'll pop the link in the chat for you. Again, you all should have my WhatsApp number because I've WhatsApped you all, making sure that you were coming today. So you can always pop me a message. I have got videos on YouTube if you want to know a little bit more about the coaching. I also have got a website. I've got a Instagram with some highlights on there. There's so much info, but the best way to find the info is just book a call and talk to me. You can research till the cows come home. I'm the person with the answers to your questions if you want to book in a call. Again, the strategy calls, they do take about an hour because I am really in depth and I can talk the back legs off a donkey, as you can probably tell. But yeah, as just a special offer for you taking the time and showing up today, I will give you 2 weeks coaching completely free. I never do special offers ever. Like this is probably the first one I've ever done in 4 years. But I will pop the link in the comment. Can someone just pop me a little thumbs up in the comment box? I can put the link in for my calendar. And that's everything, guys. Again, I know there's not been a heap of questions. I've probably not given you a chance to even create a brain thought. But if there's any questions about this, about coaching, please pop it in the chat box. And I will answer it. I'll give you a couple of minutes if you've got any questions. Like I said, I've just popped my calendar in the chat. If there's not a time that works for you, like I said, I've got so many bookings at the moment. Pop me a message on WhatsApp and we can have a chat and make something work. I have opened up weekend availability. So Sunday mornings, I've opened up for the next couple of weeks just because all my evening slots have been booked up by clients. So if you do want to grab a Sunday morning, there's only a couple of slots this month. So grab your Sunday morning, probably tonight, because there's like over 40 women on this call, and I know that a lot of people want to book in calls. But be my absolute pleasure, guys. I really hope that it's been useful for you. Thank you for showing up and attending. The fact that you've showed up and attended tonight already shows great initiative in wanting to change. If you want to follow me on Instagram, please do. And even if you want to send me a message, if this call's helped you, I'd love to hear any thoughts and feedback or any changes that you want. I know a couple of you have already got strategy calls booked in with me, so I really look forward to getting to know you on a one-to-one basis. This is my Instagram. A lot of people ask me if I've got Instagram. Yes, I've got Instagram. If you go to my Instagram as well, guys, and click this little link, there is my website in there. with like loads of FAQs and loads of transformations and things like that. So you can go have a good little look. But I hope that was useful. Hope you all have a good evening. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm going to love you and leave you all. Bye bye.